Hello everyone, welcome back to Chemistry CC for you. Today we are going to do another set of question papers. CUSAT MSc Chemistry Entrance Exam previous questions. As I have promised, I am doing the spectroscopy tutorial videos. So I need a little more time to complete that series. So I'll be uploading the video, start uploading the videos of that very soon. Let's begin today's questions. So the first question today is, what is the empirical formula of a compound that contains 72 gram of carbon, 18 gram of hydrogen and 192 gram of oxygen, and the masses of hydrogen, carbon and oxygen are given. So we need to find the empirical formula. So the empirical formula, we know that it might not be the real it won't be the exact it won't be the exact molecular formula. Empirical formula will give how the relation, the ratio between the elements given there. So that will be the empirical formula. So the answer here is option C, CH3O2. Now we need to know how to find the empirical formula of a compound. Let's see. So to find the empirical formula, change the mass to moles and then find the ratio between the moles. So for carbon, what we have to do is we have to divide the amount of carbon that is given in the question by the mass of carbon. The mass of carbon is given as 12, and we can see in the question the compound contains 72 gram of carbon. So the amount of carbon in the compound divided by mass of carbon, which is 72 by 12, which is 6 moles. Then oxygen, similarly oxygen, 192 gram of oxygen in the compound and the mass of oxygen is 16. So for oxygen, the number of moles will be given mass by the mass, molar mass, that is the mass of oxygen. So it will be 12, 192 by 16, which is 12. And for hydrogen, 18 gram in the compound and 1 is the mass of hydrogen. So 18, this will be 18 moles. Therefore, if we are trying to find the ratio between C, O and H, which is 6 is to 12 is to 18, or we can give as 1 is to 2 is to 3. So for one carbon, whenever there is one carbon present, there will be 2 oxygen and 3 hydrogen in the compound. And as a result, the empirical formula will be CH3O2. That is 1 carbon, 2 oxygen and 3 hydrogen. So if the real formula is, if carbon is 2 in the real compound, it will be C2H6O4. That will be the real molecular formula if carbon is 2. So this is the empirical formula. Now we will go to the second question. In the second question also, this is one of the similar kind of question, and this is also a repeated question in the entrances. An organic compound, so the mass of the organic compound is given as 0.2 gram, containing carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, yielded on combustion 0.14 gram of carbon dioxide and 0.12 gram of water. The percentage composition of the compound is, so the answer here is option A, C 19.90 percentage, H is equal to 6.66 percentage and 74.2 percentage of oxygen. Let's see how this calculation is done. So the percentage of carbon will be 12 divided by 44 into mass of carbon dioxide given by the mass of organic compound. So what is 12? 12 is actually the mass of carbon and 44 is the mass of carbon dioxide, and divided in multiplied by the mass of carbon dioxide given after combustion divided by the total mass of the organic compound. So we have 12 by 44 into 0.14 gram of carbon dioxide was given out by the 0.2 gram of organic compound, and we'll be multiplying it by 100 to get the percentage. So it is 19.09 percentage. Similarly, to find hydrogen, we have to actually write 2 divided by 18. That is so what is this 2 by 18? You have to find the mass of water is 18 gram. So in 18 gram of water, there is 2 gram of hydrogen. So that is actually this 2 by 18. And similarly in 12 by 44, 44 is the mass of carbon dioxide. And in 44 gram of carbon dioxide, there is 12 gram of carbon. So that is this 12 by 44. Similarly, here we have 2 by 18 divided into mass of water divided by mass of organic compound. So on combustion of 0.2 gram of the organic compound, we get 0.12 gram of water. So multiplying this 2 by 18 into 0.12 by 0.2 into 100 is giving us 6.66 gram. Now we have already known that the organic compound consists of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So if the percentage of carbon and percentage of hydrogen is known, we can calculate the percentage of oxygen by subtracting the percentage of carbon and hydrogen from 100. So percentage of oxygen will be 100 minus 19.09 minus 6.66. It is 74.25. So approximately 17.24. Yes, 74.24. So that is the answer here. This is the method to find the number of the percentage composition after decomposition. Now we'll go to the third question. In the third question, we need to find what is the Bayer's reagent. So the Bayer's reagent is dilute KMnO4, and Bayer's reagent, it is alkaline solution of cold potassium permanganate, and the reaction with any double, if there is a compound with double or triple bond in the organic material and we are treating it with this Bayer's reagent, the color will fade from pink to brown, because there will be addition reaction occurring, and the double bond or triple bond will be reduced. So that will be the reaction there. So Bayer's reagent is cold solution of potassium, alkaline solution of cold potassium permanganate. Now let's go to the fourth question. Diethyl malonate reacts with urea to give butyric acid, barbituric acid, glutaric acid, and mantelic acid. So the answer is barbituric acid. And let's see what is the reaction. So this is diethyl malonate, and this is urea. We know the structure, and this is the structure of barbituric acid. So please remember this structure. Sometimes they can give you the structure and ask you to identify the compound, or they can also ask give these two structures and ask you to identify the product from that. So barbituric acid is the answer. When diethyl malonate reacts with urea, we get barbituric acid, and the structure of barbituric acid is given like this. That is the fourth question. Now we'll go to the fifth question. The boiling points of H2O, H2S, and H2SC are in the order. So actually option B is the correct answer. Here if you see, this is a tricky question. We always get confused. Here actually there are two different signs. Here it means that H2S has boiling point less than both H2O and H2SC, which is true. Let's see what is the reason. So out of the whole, in the whole group, if we are considering, that is oxygen, sulfur, selenium, and tellurium, if we are considering H2O will be having the highest boiling point. Why? Because of the hydrogen bonding. Then remaining three compounds have same group and similar type of bonding forces, etc. So we will look at their molecular weight. H2TE has the highest molecular weight, and therefore it will be having the highest boiling point. So the answer actually would be H2S will be the smallest value, then we'll be have H2SC, and then H2TE, and finally H2O. So H2O will be the greatest, followed by H2TE and H2SC, and lowest will be H2S. So that is the answer here. We can, if you want, we can look at each of the options. In the first one, H2O is the least, which is definitely wrong. Then third one, H2O is greater than H2S, but H2S is greater than H2SC. That is wrong. The boiling point of H2S is not greater than H2SC. And here what happens? Here H2S is greater than water also. So this is also wrong. So the only feasible option is option B. So that is the answer here. Which of the following B group vitamins can be stored in our body? So the option is vitamin B12, and why? The body cannot store most of the B group vitamins except B12 and folate. These are stored in the liver. Please keep this one in mind. I have already done a video on the biomolecules. So please watch that. You can get more general notions about the vitamin portions, and a lot of questions come from this part. And for all exams, you can watch that, and you can cover that portion very fastly. Yeah. Now we'll go to the next question. So Stephen reduction converts cyanides to. See, it is before 2 days that I have uploaded the most important organic reactions in the chemistry examinations. So there itself I have discussed Stephen reduction. I had told at that time itself that this is a really important reaction. So in Stephen reduction, actually this is very specific reduction, and amides actually gets converted into aldehyde. So what happens? There will be an amide, and then cyanides. Cyanides will be converted into aldehydes, and the reagent used in Stephen's reduction is SnCl2 and HCl. This reduction is specific to form aldehyde. Only cyanides will be converted only into aldehyde by Stephen reduction, and the reagent is SnCl2 and HCl. Please keep this one in mind, and do watch all the most important organic reaction series, because it is really we have covered 30 reactions so far. All those 30 reactions are very important in the examination point of view. I can guarantee you that at least one question from that portion will be coming for sure for every exam. So do cover that full portions. Next, glycerol on heating with excess of HI gives allyl iodide, 1,2,3 triiodopropane, and propene and isopropyl iodide. So the fun fact here is that all these products are formed when glycerol react with HI. But here the catch, the word that is important is excess. When we are treating with excess of HI, what happens? So what really happens is isopropyl iodide will be formed. In the first step, a molecule of glycerol will react with 3 HI molecules to form 1,2,3 triiodopropane. And this then lose a molecule of iodine to form allyl iodide. And this allyl iodide again add a molecule of HI to obtain unstable molecule, which again loses a molecule of iodine to form propene. And then finally, propene again adds HI to form 2-iodopropane or isopropyl iodide. Please remember both these terms, okay? 2-iodopropane and isopropyl iodide. So all these reactions are taking place in the presence of excess of HI. So if there is limited amount of HI, you should, if they are in the question, they specifically ask only about 3 HI molecules, then our answer should be 1,2,3 triiodopropane, which is losing a molecule of iodine to form allyl iodide. So I think only up to this the answer should be there when they are giving limited amount of HI. But since it is excess, the complete reaction will be taking place to form the final product, which is isopropyl iodide. So let's take a look at how this happens. I have not shown the loss of iodine, but this is the chronology of the reaction taking place. There will be glycerol, then 1,2,3 triiodopropane, allyl iodide, propene, and then 2-iodopropane or isopropyl iodide. So this is the answer. Next, this is a very simple question. Infrared region lies between. So you should be very aware of the spectroscopy terms, including the regions of different waves and in the increasing order of wavelength and increasing order of frequency. So this is infrared region lies between visible and microwaves. So option C is the correct answer here. And the 10th question, this is also from a video that I have done 2 days back. Dettol consists of. This is from Chemistry in Daily Life. This question was asked multiple times in CUSAT exams, and in CUSAT exam also. This Dettol composition is a very simple question, but you tend to forget the answers in the time of examination, or you get confused. So the answer is chloroxylenol plus terpineol. That will be the answer. So thank you so much for watching. Please keep watching the channel for more videos. We'll be doing the spectroscopy video soon, and there are some other videos also coming. I'm also doing the part A of CUSAT in the coming days. Thank you, and all the best for your studies. Keep watching, share the video, like the video, and subscribe the channel if you have not subscribed yet. Thank you so much.